Greetings and salutations. My name is OJ as always, and surprise, I am not doing a video on Ashe today because, to my surprise, and I'm sure maybe a few others, Overwatch decided to drop the gameplay trailer for Vendetta yesterday, or Vendetta if you want me to not be British for 5 seconds. I have thoughts. I have many thoughts actually, and I am not sure all of them are positive, as you can probably tell from the title and the thumbnail of the video. Now, to be frank, let's get the less important thing out of the way immediately, and that has to do with her appearance. As some of you may know, as I put in a community post the other day on my channel, I was going to hold off on talking about her appearance until we saw what her actual in-game model looked like, because, well, these hero trailers, these like animated ones, they don't really do these characters justice per se, or proper. Like when Wu Yang got his, in Wu Yang's, animated trailer, he looked relatively skinny, all things considered. Like he kind of just looked like a slim Asian dude. And then, well, Wu Yang got put in the game, and if we just pull up his actual in-game model, he's kind of shredded. Like he's very fit. Like this is a complete difference to how he looked in the animated trailer. Like he's got a six-pack, he's got very buff arms, all things considered. So like that's why I try to hold off on talking about what these characters look like and discussing their designs until we see the in-game models, because obviously those are what you're going to look at for most of your time playing. And when it comes to Vendetta, I'm actually really damn disappointed. I am disappointed in many different ways. I'll get my like positives out of the way. I think this sword is sick as shit. I am one of those people who have wanted a kind of gladiator character for a very long time. I think a gladiator is very cool. I just wanted an Italian character in general. I'm surprised it took us this long to include one. So I'm very glad we have an Italian character. That is a huge win. And I have wanted a gladiator character, and Vendetta is fulfilling that role. And I'm going to admit the coolest part about her by far is the sword. This sword is larger than her, which is always a cool kind of defining character feature. I don't know where this was said, but according to this wiki, right? I know the wiki's not always completely correct, but they do cite their sources for the most part. Her sword is constructed from hard light. That's a great idea, actually. I really like that idea. I like the idea that this is hard light, and it explains why it looks the way it does and why it's this like giant black blade. Like the sword is really damn cool. I think this is a really cool standout feature for her character. It helps her with her silhouette. And as we can see from her trailer, like near the beginning, her movement animation is her kind of like dragging the sword behind her. I think you can see it as well when they actually like show her walking around. Like it has sort of, like sparks coming out of the ground as she runs around. Like that's really cool in terms of like a character silhouette and like animation wise. But I'm going to be honest, most of my positives just kind of end at the sword, because Vendetta as a person, like the character design itself, ignoring the sword, is really damn disappointing to me. Mostly due to a kind of number of factors. The first of which being that before she came out and before we got to see her properly, she had been hyped up as the She-Wolf of Retribution. That was the kind of title that we knew of her by. And she was also called per this game mode, I don't remember what it's called, the Halloween game mode that came out with the season, Lupa, which I believe is Italian for wolf. And then we heard another nickname, that being La Lupa, so the wolf. So a lot of wolf motifs, right, in terms of naming. And then the most we get for her actual design in terms of wolf features is a wolf on the sword and on her shoulder pad. That's really damn boring. That's really disappointing, actually. And this kind of connects to my next point, was that physically, she's really boring to look at as well. She is a kind of slim, fit, muscular woman. Many of the comparisons people have drawn is to Junker Queen. She as well is, of course, like tall, kind of fit woman with abs and muscles, etc. But I'm going to be honest, Vendetta really does lack in the muscle compartments compared to Junker Queen. Vendetta does have larger legs, but in terms of like abs, they are there, but I mean, look at Junker Queens. They're kind of, well, actually, the more I look at them, they're kind of quite similar, actually. Maybe my, trying to think about my criticisms right here, right now. Something about her just being another, okay, trying to sort my thoughts out mid-video. This is going to be very unscripted, as you can probably tell. But my issue with her, and it's kind of like a core issue that kind of plays into a lot of other things, is she's just conventionally attractive, and that's really damn boring. We're going 3 for 3 this year on conventionally attractive heroes who I can't really discuss attractiveness-wise outside of, like, okay, we've had Freya, we had Wu Yang, and now we have Vendetta. They are all conventionally attractive, but that's kind of where, like, my compliments stop attractiveness-wise. Like, I can look at Vendetta and I can say, yeah, she's attractive. Like, if she approached me, I highly doubt she ever would, but yeah, I'd be like, yeah, damn, you're really damn gorgeous, etc., etc. But my compliments for her looks don't go any further than that. Like, I just think, yeah, she's pretty. End it. Like, she doesn't have any, like, key defining features that, like, really stick out to me. Like, there's nothing there that kind of really clicks with me, and I feel like this really could have been solved quite easily, actually. The muscular kind of look she has is weird, because in this, like, this render here, you can see the abs quite noticeably, you can see the leg muscles quite noticeably, but then if we skip to, like, other shots, like, the leg muscles are still there, but, like, her abs, I don't know if it's just me, but they kind of, like, disappear, almost, like, it's hard to see them, and I feel like a lot of my issues lie in her arms. This is why I pulled up this Junker Queen picture specifically. Like, look at Junker Queen's arms here. You can see the muscles in them, right? And then look at Vendetta's arms. This is a big sword, mind you. Like, this is huge. Even if the blade is made up of hard light, this still looks very heavy, right? And she drags it across the floor when she walks. Like, this isn't something she can kind of just sling over her shoulders, right? So this is a very heavy sword. She's lugging this thing around, swinging it around. Her arms are just, like, not really that big. I'm not, okay, the best, I know why she looks like this, right? And it has to do with her role as a damage hero, which I do have a lot of issues with as well. But, man, couldn't we have made her look like Zarya or something? Like, I'm sick, I don't want to say I'm sick and tired, but we already kind of had that role of a kind of muscular woman, like a tall muscular woman in Junker Queen, right? They have very similar builds, at least to my eyes. But I kind of don't want another character like that. I wanted someone like you call someone the She-Wolf of Retribution. You know, this like big imposing figure, a warrior in the Colosseum. I kind of expect someone that kind of looks like Zarya, like a lot of muscle, especially when we saw this shot from Ramatra's comic, or the Reconciliation comic, where, you know, like, she's holding this big-ass sword on her back. I know I've expected something bigger, like someone larger. I know why she's not larger, now that we know that her role is damage. I think if they did make her, you know, as big as Zarya, she would end up being a tank, which I do, in my personal opinion. Spoilers, I do believe she should have been a tank, or at least, yeah, I'll discuss it a little bit more when we get to the other issue. But, like, she's just conventionally attractive. And it's really boring. I don't know how to explain. Like, I look at her and I'm able to acknowledge, yeah, she looks attractive, but that's where the compliments end. Like, I already mentioned, obviously, the sword is really cool, but, like, even her outfit, something about it just doesn't look very cool. Like, gladiators in history usually didn't wear much clothing because it was a kind of sport of showmanship in a way. Like, yeah, they did, you know, fight to the death, but it was for show. It was to make themselves look like they would wear as little clothes as possible to show off their, you know, toned physiques and amazing physiques to, you know, gather up some spectacle. All these big, massive, buff men fighting each other in the Colosseum. This is so cool. So she is obviously taking some inspiration and wearing, you know, not too much clothing in terms of, like, the lower half just being kind of some shorts, and I don't remember what this is called, this kind of, like, waist belt thing. I don't know what this is called, I forget. And, like, her armor just being, like, a chest plate and, you know, an arm piece. But it's just, like, people are comparing her to Junker Queen because there is a lot of similarities here, right? So, Junker Queen is someone who, you know, has a crop top per se, in terms of an upper half with one arm covered by, you know, a shoulder pad and, you know, gauntlet, which is the exact same as Vendetta, you know, like armor, midsection exposed, one arm covered. It's even, you know, funny enough, the same arm, it's both their left arms. So that's kind of weird, but, like, if you're curious on what I would have done, personally, first of all, if we're going to make her bigger, which I do think we should have, I think she should have been, like, as big as Zarya in terms of size and strength, I think. I think that would have been good. We haven't had a character like Zarya, really, since Zarya. Like, Zarya is still the largest woman in Overwatch. like Junker Queen was, you know, a good step, right? I really do love her physique. I do think Junker Queen is very attractive, all of that palaver, but I feel like we should have had another Zarya, and that obviously would have caused her to be a tank, but still, I think we should have leaned into the she-wolf thing. I really do think we should have leaned into the she-wolf thing. You're telling me that she fights in the Colosseo and is like this massive part of it, and everyone calls her La Lupa, the wolf. Like, could we have not given her, like, scars? I'm sorry, she's so perfectly clean, it actually frustrates me. Like, she has eyeliner, eyeshadow, and she's got, like, she's got makeup on, and, like, yeah, look your best when you're fighting in the Colosseo, sure, but no scars? No details? Nothing? You're just perfectly clean, not a bruise on you in any way, shape, or form? Like, I mean, this is a similar issue I have with Junker Queen, that she just doesn't have any signs of battle damage, considering they're both obviously gladiators in their own ways, but it's like, you're called the wolf. Like, I expected her to look, and maybe this is my expectations being too high for Overwatch, right? But I expected her to kind of look like a dire wolf turned into a human being. Like a large woman covered in battle marks and scars and bruises, and with like long, unruly hair. Like, I just don't see any of it here. This is just a really boring look, in my opinion. Like, it's cool that we have a gladiator character. I understand that. I like her color scheme quite a lot. The black, white, and red is a nice color scheme. It does very much make her look like a Talon character, but I feel like that was probably intentional, considering, you know, her backstory with her father dying at the hands of Blackwatch, soon to be Talon member Reaper, Reyes, whatever you want to call him. It's just like, we hype her up as La Lupa, She-Wolf of Retribution, the Wolf, etc., etc., and it's just like, she does not look like... The wolf inspiration ends at the symbol on her sword and on her shoulder plate, and that's it. That's it. And it's just like so frustrating. Like, could we not have done scars? Like, why is every character just so clean? Did we go to the League of Legends School of Character Design? It's like Kai'Sa all over again. Oh, I'm Kai'Sa. I've survived in the void for all of these years, and I have no battle damage at all, and I have a perfectly, you know, attractive face with makeup still on my face. Like, can we stop doing this? It's so boring. Like, she has like eyeliner, eyeshadow. It's just like, could you not have done anything? Like, maybe the most scarred character in Overwatch, off the top of my head, is like Reinhardt. Like, Reinhardt has obviously the scar on his eye, and as we know from the Honor and Glory cinematic, we get to see like his kind of upper half body, and there's obviously I think Brigitte's cinematic shows it as well. Like, Reinhardt's body is very much scarred. There's a lot of marks on his body, and I kind of wish they just took that and applied it to her. Like, as we saw from her trailer, the cinematic one, which I suppose I can just kind of quickly pull up. I'm really hoping I don't have audio on, so I don't like blast your ears out. Okay, I don't. Look what she's fighting, man. She's fighting these giant, massive mechs. And I suppose some people could argue, like, oh, she's so good at her job in the Colosseum, she never gets hurt. But, like, that's just a boring way to excuse that they were wusses and didn't want to, you know, give her some defining features. Like, as she is now, and as she will be when she comes out, she just feels very blank. She feels very bland. Like, I look at this design and I'm like, they didn't design this because they wanted to design a cool character. Like, if they wanted to go the whole mile, like, they would have added scars. They would have added long, unruly hair. Like, maybe I'm asking for too much. I'm sure some people will let me know in the comments, but, like, I feel like making her bigger, adding scars to her figure, and adding, like, it doesn't even have to be, like, facial scars. She still could have kept the pretty face, but, like, maybe mark her arms with, like, cuts or bruises, mark her legs with cuts or bruises. Like, she's fighting these giant mechs. I know at least one of these had, like, a flamethrower in some way, shape, or form. Come on, we could have had, I don't know, like a burnt leg. Hell, if they wanted to be boring, they could have just made, like, this arm here, like a robot arm. Like, make her an amputee. Like, they could have just done what they did with, like, Symmetra and Lifeweaver. If they wanted to be, you know, boring and just kind of choose the easy way out, per se, they could have just given her a robot arm. And it would make sense, considering that she's able to, like, fly to her sword for some reason. Like, it's like here. She's able to just throw her sword and fly towards it. I know that's because she's got, like, jetpack things on the back of her, like, waist. I'm pretty sure she uses them in the trailer here. It's, like, before she flies upwards, right? Yeah, she has, like, the little jetpack boosters you just saw there. But it's just, like, I don't know, maybe a robot arm, maybe there's like a magnetic connection between two, but then again, that would cause even more comparisons to Junker Queen with her magnetic arm thingy. So it's just, I don't know. I don't know how you would like it. I just think she should have had detail. Like, it feels like it doesn't have any detail. She feels like a blank slate that, like Freya, like Wu Yang, is just here to deliver a collab skin day one and call it a day. Like, I don't want to rag on her design, because I know obviously effort and, love and passion was put into this character design, but obviously this is my criticism. It does feel like she was a blank slate, like Freya, like Wu Yang, who was designed with the intention of giving them a collab skin as soon as possible to make up for their lacking base designs. For Freya, it was the G.I. Joe skin, and for Wu Yang, it was Joker from Persona 5. When it comes to Freya, I could for Vendetta, I can immediately see them doing, I don't know, like a, what's it called? Fate/Stay Night collab, and they make her Saber. Or they do a collab with Final Fantasy VII, and they make her Cloud, because of obviously the giant sword. It's just like, it's weird that the sword actually has more personality in terms of design than her. Like, I don't care about Vendetta the character right now. I care about the big massive sword she's lugging about. And I feel like that is a inherent failure of her character design. It's just isn't interesting to me. And to further my points about her lacking in character design, it has to do with her nose. As we know from the cinematic, her father is Antonio from the Blackwatch cinematic. And as you can see, his nose is very defined. It's a very kind of large, is it called a Roman nose? I think that is actually the name for it, where the bridge is quite far outwards. I genuinely think if she had his nose, a lot of my issues would kind of weirdly be solved. Facially, she kind of is kind of boring. Like, facially, she fits into the rest of the roster and kind of becomes a blur amongst the rest of the characters facially. When I was looking at her face, she kind of just looked like a Lari almost in terms of facial design. So I think giving her father's nose would solve a few of my issues by making her have like this unique kind of defining character feature in having like, the bridge come out further, having quite a large Roman nose. And it wouldn't be like out of the question, right? This may be stereotypical, maybe, I don't know if it was be racist or whatever, but it's like Italian people do kind of have those noses. Like a lot of Italian people I've seen online and in different things I've seen, blah, 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 do kind of have like the Roman nose where the bridge is further outwards. So it's not like out of the question that she could have that. Her father has it. Her father literally has it. So like, why not give her that nose? It would help her kind of stand out facially amongst the cast and would kind of alleviate the issues I have with, her body not having any scars or signs of battle damage, her physique almost being a copy and paste of Junker Queen's outside of her, having like almost noodle arms in a way. Like, I know this isn't a very flattering shot, but still. And honestly, this is my biggest... Why is her hair up? I feel like it would be so much cooler to have her hair down. I know why it's up for combat reasons, blah, 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 but I don't know. If she had like a just long, flowing, just messy hair, I feel like that would have fit the wolf persona a little bit more. I know, it's something about her design just does not click with me, like in the slightest. It just doesn't do anything for me at all. And it is kind of upsetting that this is what we got for a gladiator character, when we know that there are other gladiators in the arena. Like, these are just some of the ones I picked up. Like, the gladiators, for the most part, as we can obviously see from her cinematic, are like these giant mechs for some reason. Like, I'm not sure why they're pitting like human fighters against these comically massive mechs, but like these two here are seen on one of the billboards in the Colosseo map. Like, their names are Zephyrus and Maximus respectively. I feel like one of these would have been cooler. Like one of these robot mech, gladiators, and you could have made them, a tank. I feel like I don't know, it's just kind of like we could have picked, to my knowledge, the majority of the gladiators are robots. And that would have solved the issue that I've had for a lot of the year where we just really haven't gotten anything different. Like, as I said, the 3 characters we've gotten this year are Freya, Wu Yang, and Vendetta, and they all just are conventionally attractive, young humans. We haven't gotten anything interesting this year in terms of designs. I feel like we could have solved that issue by either just giving her some, battle scars, giving her father's nose, like giving her something, either make Vendetta have some unique character features, or do a robot, do a mech, because per some little lore tidbits, these mechs are remote controlled, So it would have been really cool to have like a remote controlled, you know, robot. Like, I don't know, say when you spawn in, it shows like a small animation of, I don't know, whoever is controlling, you know, the mech, and then it switches obviously to the mech's perspective when you boot up. You know, like how when Diva enters her mech, it has the little boot up startup screen. I feel like that would have been cool for like one of these mech kind of robot gladiator things. It's just like, I feel like these two could have been like cool, or something akin to it. Hell, if they wanted to keep Vendetta as a character, they could have included, like, you know, her, but then have her control the mech, like remote control it. And maybe not, obviously, you would have to change a lot about how she looks personally, but obviously, but still. And as I have alluded to many a times throughout this video so far, my next big issue with her is her role, which is a damage hero. I think this is a really bad idea. I think this is a very, very bad idea, actually. I don't know. Since her gameplay trailer has come out, we have gotten a few, you know, articles. Apologies for the flashbang. I cannot find a way to make this a dark mode. I have a few articles that have all popped up since her gameplay trailer came out, and we now know that she is a damage hero. And I think this is a very bad idea, honestly. For the last, say, 2 years now, we've had, it's in this article somewhere. I think it's near, is it this article? Might be this one instead. Apologies. Yeah, here we go. So these are all of the new heroes added in Overwatch 2 so far. We had the initial release with, you know, a damage tank support. Then we had Ramattra as a tank, 2 supports, which I did think was needed as the support roster was, I believe, the lowest. I think it was the lowest amount of characters. So I feel like filling out the support roster was a good idea early on. And then we achieved kind of this sort of track record, right? We had Mauna come out, tank, Venture, damage, Juno, support. Then we repeated that pattern, Hazard, Freya, Wu Yang. Now, we were, of course, due to have a new tank. And I did think, you know, adding a Gladiator as a tank would have been, you know, really cool. But she's damage. And I think this poses a few issues immediately, all revolving around tanks in general. So, as I'm sure many of you know, in Overwatch 1, we had, okay, if you didn't know, in Overwatch 1, we had the introduction of roll queue after Brig went on her little destroying spree and basically changed how the game worked forever. And when we got roll queue, it was, you know, very, very messy. Here's an issue. No one wants to play tank. Let's just say that right now. No one really, really wants to play tank. The reason that Overwatch 1 queues looked like this, by the way, orange is damage, green support, blue is tank, is because no one wants to play tank. Back in Overwatch 1, queue times, even in quick play, got to the point where if you wanted to play DPS, you'd be sitting there for like 10 minutes, maybe 20 minutes. I think the longest queue time ever was like an hour. And like, that's insane. An hour for a game? I think that was a comp queue time, which of course comp queue times are always going to be longer. But it's like, that was an hour. It was really bad. And support wasn't as bad. Support used to be like 5-10 minutes, but tank, you would get into tank games like instantly, snappy your fingers, because no one wants to play tank. Because it is kind of, as it is, the most unfun role per se. I don't share that opinion. I do enjoy playing tank, but it's a role that requires a bit more game knowledge, game sense, more thought behind it. I would personally argue that tank is the hardest role to play because it requires a more general game knowledge across the board. And obviously, like, the DPS kind of skill ceiling can kind of limit itself. Like, DPS is easy to understand and easy to play. You just need to get kills as much as possible. Everything else is game sense. Support, you just need to heal people as much as possible. I'm kind of dumbing it down a little bit, but you get my point, right? I think tank is the hardest role to play because it requires more game knowledge. It requires you to know how to kind of support your team, protect your team, when you need to peel, when not to peel, how to create space, push, etc., etc. So it was the hardest role in the game, and as a result, many people found it unfun. So no one played it. And as a result, we ended up with queue times that got to like this long, and even worse, the higher in ranks you went. And funny enough, this same issue is actually being recreated in real time with Stadium. No one wants to play Stadium tank, right? Stadium tank, just yesterday, I went on Overwatch, went to play some Stadium, and DPS queue time was, I think, 12 minutes. And as you can see, even in this image, the support queue time is 18 minutes there. And in my experience, the support queue time was like 12 minutes as well. But tank was under 2 minutes. So Stadium in real time is experiencing the same issues that Overwatch 1 role queue was experiencing. But the way you prevent this from happening is by, releasing tanks. You release new characters for people to get interested in and for people to want to play. So for maybe a season and a half, there are a consistent flow of tank players playing the role because they want to get better at the new hero and the such. But we're not getting a new tank hero, we're getting a new damage hero. And this is a weird thing. I don't know if it's just me, could just be me. Maybe I'm tripping, maybe I'm hallucinating. Tanks on a general have been treated rather badly in Overwatch 2. And also, I should mention, the reason Overwatch 2 even really exists is because of the role queue issue. Because obviously in Overwatch 1, it was 2 tanks, 2 DPS, 2 support. And no one wanted to play tank, let alone 2 of them. So queue times got to as bad as they were. But in Overwatch 2, we dropped down to 1 tank. And the reason for that is because of what happened with Overwatch 2 queue times. They knew no one wanted to play tank, so they dropped it down to 1 tank, so it's a 5v5. So we already know this problem exists. We already know people don't want to play tank. We already know that 2 tanks just isn't very much viable in terms of wanting proper queue time, so we dropped it down to 5v5. But we still need to emphasize that people need to be encouraged to play tank, right? You do know that by releasing tank heroes, you get people to play the role. And it prevents us from having a repeat of Overwatch 1, where every other queue is just 20 years long, and tank is like 1 second. Like, as I said, we're seeing this for Stadium, right? Stadium is also 5v5. So even in Stadium, people don't want to play tank. People don't want to play tank in a 5v5 game mode. Stadium's obviously a bit different from the normal game, but still, this is very rambly, but still, you kind of getting my point, right? No one wants to play tank. We swapped to Overwatch 2 because of that same fact. And now I feel like by making Vendetta a damage hero, we are going to encounter the same issues. Damage is already the most overloaded role in terms of character choice. Like, there's 2 DPSs and they have like 20 odd characters to pick from. They are spoiled for choice by all accounts. Anything and everything you could need is in there, outside of a solely melee damage hero, which, is a fair fantasy to want. It's a fair fantasy that they should have fulfilled a long while ago. And fun fact, they kind of did. Doomfist was kind of the full damage hero. Obviously, his shotgun pellets kind of made him not completely damage. But all of Doomfist's damage as a DPS back in Overwatch 1 came from that wombo combo of slam, uppercut, punch. Like, he was, by all accounts, a damage hero, and he was really damn good at it. He was very fun to play as. And obviously, in the swap from Overwatch 1 to 2, we swapped him to a tank for some godforsaken reason. This is a very rambly video, I'm very much aware of that. But my point, what I'm trying to say is that by creating Vendetta as a damage hero, I feel like we are going to encounter the exact same issues that Overwatch 1 queue times had, where everyone wants to play, DPS. No one wants to play tank because there isn't a new tank. And as I kind of alluded to earlier, I feel like it's just me, but tanks have weirdly been neglected in Overwatch 2. Like, a lot of the tanks in the game receive next to no cosmetics. Like, Ramatra, I've mentioned many times, went so long without any sort of, original Overwatch legendary skin. Zarya has not received a highlight intro at all. In Overwatch's 2 entire lifespan, she has not received a highlight intro. She has not received a highlight intro since Archives of 2019. She barely gets any skins as well. She barely gets any love. Like, Zarya, Ramatra just get nothing. Like, I don't know. I feel like a lot of the tanks are just weirdly neglected. Like, if we look at the mythic skins, right? We went 5 seasons from Orisa to, Orisa's mythic came out in season 8, and Reinhardt's came out in season 14. We went, that's not even 5, that's how many is that? Use my brain. Season 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. We went 5 seasons without a tank mythic skin for no reason. But no reason. You couldn't have just thrown one in? Hello? We only have 1 tank mythic weapon in Reinhardt's. We have not received another one since. And it's just if you continue to neglect tanks over and over and over in terms of cosmetics, which is admittedly all the content we get ever, the only content we get outside of, new season releases or mid-season, if you continue to neglect them in that form, and now we're neglecting them again in, just not doing a tank hero next, instead doing another damage, and damage is already the most overloaded role, by the way. We already have a bunch of damage heroes. I don't think we needed another one right now. I think a new tank, I'm sorry, if all, okay, this is, again, rambly video. I'm just getting my thoughts out. We know for upcoming character-wise, we're getting Unrun at some point, which is Wu Yang's sister, and probably Emre, who is one of the previous members of Overwatch's search and rescue team. Now, Unrun is very clearly going to be a DPS. Her brother is already a support. She is a skinny Asian woman. There is no way she's going to be a tank unless she creates a fire golem that she controls, not too dissimilar to Diva or something. So she'll be a DPS. And Emre is part of the search and rescue team. So I want to take a wild guess and say he'll probably end up being a support. Freya is also from the search and rescue team, but, became a bounty hunter and is now a damage hero. So it's we know for upcoming characters, we're getting a DPS probably, and we're probably going to get a support. So where does a tank fall into this? What, are we not actually going to see, say, I don't know, let's say Emre's next, right? Just as a wild guess. And then we get Unrun. The thing is, with Unrun, I don't think they're going to wait very long to include her, because obviously they've already hyped her up, and it'd be very silly to tease her in Wu Yang's cinematic trailer back in August, and then not release her for a year and a half or something. Something stupid like that. But then again, they did tease Mauna back in Baptiste's trailers in 2019, 2018, and he only came out 5 years later. So yeah, maybe they could, but still. In terms of expected characters, we have Unrun and Emre, who I think will be DPS support respectively. So where does the tank fall into this? Are we actually going to get to season 24 without a new tank? Are we going to go 10 seasons without a new tank? I'm sorry, the game will... I don't want to be hyperbolic, but I do think that could, really hurt the game. I won't say kill. Overwatch is on a roll right now, actually, but that would really hurt the game. The queue times would go back to being Overwatch 1 level queue times. The shit where we're just waiting 20 years for it's just, I don't know what the thought process is. Obviously we have these articles, and they say that she was pushed forward in release schedule. That's a bad idea. I'm sorry, you could have waited. You really could have. You could have waited. You could have just dropped the tank. I don't know, anyone. Actually anyone. I don't know. Maximilian is a tank for some reason. I don't know. We could have, you just had to wait 2 more seasons. God forbid. Oh no, a game that's supporting itself and is perfectly financially stable right now, and is doing really well, and you have to make a tank. Oh, no. No, I don't want to make a tank. Make another DPS, please. What? We needed, I don't say we needed a tank, but no one plays tank. We need to keep the engagement in tank consistent, or else this game will fall into the same trapfalls that Overwatch 1 did. But we're not. We're making a new damage hero, and she got pushed forward in the schedule. Vendetta was too fun to skip. You didn't have to skip. You weren't skipping her. You could have just delayed her and included a tank instead. I don't. And then the other articles as well. They said, I think it was in this article. I don't know where it was. Which one was it? It was this one. Ultimate dive hero. Hey, anyone that's watched my Zenyatta video from 2 days ago, I said in that video, and I'll say it again, dive is really good right now. Some of the best characters in the whole game are Genji, Tracer, Wrecking Ball, Hazard. These dive characters. Diva is really solid right now. The dive characters are really good, and characters like Zenyatta are getting their just getting obliterated. They're getting their asses beat out there. They're dying really easy. I don't think making a new dive hero is a very good idea. If you want my personal opinion, I feel like we should have gotten a tank right now, obviously. But I feel like we should have gotten a defensive juggernaut. We have Junker Queen, right? She is a DPS in disguise. she's a very offensive tank. Ramattra is a little bit more balanced, but Nemesis form does take up a lot of his strengths, so he is also a very offensive support. Mauna is a very offensive support. He has like no way of protecting the team at all, outside of being the largest target on it. Hazard, again, another dive hero, and is a very offensive tank. Like, I feel like we should have gotten a defensive juggernaut, something akin to like Reinhardt or, Sigma. I don't know, just someone who is a defensive strength, like someone to kind of be an anchor, a protector for the team. Because honestly, most of the tanks in the game right now are just glorified DPSs. Junker Queen feels like a glorified DPS. Ram is a little bit more balanced, as I said. Mauna feels like a glorified DPS. Hazard does as well. Doomfist obviously made the switch from DPS to tank with Overwatch 2's release, and he is a DPS. He literally was designed as one. So he too feels like a glorified DPS. Winston does as well a lot of the time. It just feels like you're just playing a dive DPS. And you probably noticed that I'm listing off all of these tanks as being glorified DPSs because everyone knows that tank isn't very fun to play. But the thing is, I feel like we need some diversity in tank releases. Like, I feel like instead of Vendetta, Vendetta could have been Season 22 and nothing would have changed. I don't think anyone would have been hurt by that. I actually think the hype for Vendetta would have been higher, maybe? I potentially? Like, announcing and, because now, by doing Vendetta now, you upset tank players. And when you upset tank players, they usually disappear because genuinely they're not having much fun anyways. So, including myself. So, they kind of, dip out and don't want to play the game. They'll go play something else. And I'm not sure what they're thinking, actually. Like, if you made a tank right now, defensive juggernaut tank, right? And then release Vendetta in Season 22, I don't think there would have been any issues. Her hype wouldn't have been muddled in much controversy outside of her, her design not really being that spectacular. But now, because she's releasing now, we're getting, no tank. We don't know when we're going to get another tank. This is thrown like a complete wrench in the pattern that we've been following, and I think this pattern was good. This is a safe... I know it's safe. Some might call it boring, but it makes most people happy. Because then the controversies around these characters then come down to, kits. It's not, oh, another tank, oh, another support, oh, another DPS. It's now, Mauna's the most broken dude ever, please nerf him. Or, Hazard is a really good diver, can we kind of do some things about him? And, they have, thankfully. Recent mid-season, obviously nerfed Hazard. Funny enough, buffed Mauna, indirectly, of course. But it's most of these characters, most of these tanks have been converted into DPS. Like, even Orisa, right? She lost her barrier and now became a more offensive tank. I think we could have done with a defensive juggernaut of some kind. And maybe even someone who punished people for attacking. Like, I don't know. Think like Hazard's block, how he blocks damage and attacks simultaneously, but how would I, some games you have characters who have thorns. That's a kind of common mechanic in a lot of RPGs. Like, oh, I hit you and take a portion of the damage I deal back. Like, it's kind of like you reflect the damage back to them in a way. I feel like we could have had someone like that. I don't know. Obviously, trying to brainstorm a defensive juggernaut tank on the spot is a bit difficult for a video like this, but you're getting my points, right? I think design-wise, she's relatively lackluster, and she could have done with scars, body damage in some way, shape, or form, and maybe her father's nose to make her stand out facially amongst the cast. And I think by including her as a damage character right now of all times is a bad idea. Tank is not a pop... if this was a second support, I wouldn't have really had many problems with it, because support is a role that doesn't get hurt by... by the way, as well, if they wanted to make an all melee DPS, could we have not just done Unrun? Could you have not just made Unrun an all melee DPS? From her cinematic trailer, or from the Wu Yang cinematic trailer, she mostly just fights with her fans, right? And even then, Vendetta is technically not all melee. She has a projectile. So I don't know what you mean by that. If we go down to her kit, this image here, she has a projectile. So she's not all melee, right? So why are we hyping her up as an all melee character? I know her obviously main weapon is, all melee per se, but she still has a projectile. She's not all melee technically. If Doomfist isn't all melee, then neither is she. Right? Am I tripping for saying that? So yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's a bad idea right now, and it's like it's also bad that she's referred to as the ultimate dive hero, which is something we don't need right now. So not only is she a damage when I think we really needed a tank right now, but she's also a dive hero, which is already a really, really strong team comp. And this kit looks good. Like, see, that's the thing, right? I'm saying all of this. I'm obviously quite upset with how she's turned out. And I do think that she's kind of just being released to fill out a slot. Like, I wouldn't, because obviously they work on collabs. Collabs? I don't know why I said it like that. They work on collabs in advance, right? It's really obvious they do. Like, for example, Juno getting the My Hero Academia skin, like, the season after she came out. That's really obvious they worked on the collab skin simultaneously whilst they were developing her. Same goes for Wu Yang. He got Joker in the season he came out. They were planning this shit months in advance. So I wouldn't be surprised if she's been pushed up in schedule, like as this article said. Was it this article? Yeah, pushed forward in the release schedule because they had a plan with Square Enix to do the Final Fantasy VII collab or something, and they wanted to make her Cloud. Or they did a collab with Fate/Stay Night and they wanted to make her Saber. So I feel like, again, she's probably just been pushed up in the schedule, not because they wanted to give people a playstyle that we didn't have in the roster, but because they had a collab waiting at their doorstep and wanted to make money as soon as possible. But that's me being very pessimistic. That's me being very, very pessimistic, and I'm aware of that. I don't like to think about that too much, but, with the recent releases of Freya, Wu Yang, who both follow that similar pattern, I feel like Vendetta is just going to follow in the footsteps as well. So yeah, it's not looking good. I'm going to be honest, at least in terms of reveal or, release, etc. I'm just going to close all these tabs. I will say one thing though, and I feel like this might contradict everything I've said in this. You might see this as a contradiction to everything I've said in the video so far. Her kit looks really fun. That's the worst part. I've had many an issue with Wu Yang and Freya already. I think Freya... obviously, I haven't done Freya's dedicated video yet, as I'm sure many of you know from my channel. Over the last couple, weeks, I've been doing, dedicated video on every single Overwatch character. Just finished support, so we're now moving on to DPSs in Ashe. But I feel like this is worth covering this now, like as soon as possible, because, Vendetta's new, shiny, etc. But, like, I've done all the supports. And we're going to get to DPS, and I'll talk about this more in Freya's own dedicated video, but I do think she's a very boring character, all things considered, design-wise, and again, felt like she was made to release a skin. But the thing is, I really enjoy playing as Freya, I really enjoy Wu Yang, but I have enormous issues with, like, their stories and their design. It's like, but their gameplay always comes out on top as being really damn fun, and I feel like Vendetta is just going to do the same thing again. Like, looking at this kit, looking at this description, this looks like a character built for me. I love melee characters. Just as a point of reference, in Marvel Rivals, one of my favorite DPSs, like easily top 3 favorite characters of players in the whole game, is Magic. I love Magic. She's so much fun. And this is just Overwatch's Magic. A big, massive sword, a spin attack, a dash, a projectile that's like a single blast. Like, every attack you do with your sword increases your movement and attack speed. Like, this feels like a character made for me. I love being fast. I love doing big, massive, like really fast damage. It's like, she feels like she's going to be really fun. I'm sure she will. I'll cover her when her gameplay trial comes out. I think it's on the 26th, which is it's next weekend. Next Wednesday is when her trial starts. So, like, yeah, she's probably going to be really fun, an absolute blast, and I'm going to love playing as her. But man, that design and all of the issues with her being a DPS right now of all times, I feel like it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt. Like, so, yeah, I've obviously got all of these complaints, but at the end of the day, gameplay is what matters, and I think she is probably going to be in my top 3 DPSs. Like, I'm looking at this kit, and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to love this. I'm gonna love playing as her. But at the back of my mind, I'm just gonna be like, damn that gameplay development team. Why did they have to make a character that I should dislike? So much fun. But yeah, she'll probably be really, really fun. But again, design-wise, not really fond of her. Sort of current situation as of like when she's releasing, how she's releasing, not very fond of it. Like, I feel like I would have nothing but praise, obviously outside of, design, if she released season 22. I feel like that would have, like, if we got a tank now and then she came out, season 22 in a couple months, you would have seen a completely different video from me. You would have been seeing me like glazing her like you would never seen before, outside of, again, the design prospect. Like, just do this and do it 2 months later or 2 seasons later. Like, it's not going to kill us. It won't kill you, Overwatch team, to release a tank. Please, I swear to God, I don't want to make another video like this in, 2 months time, 3 months time, where they reveal that the next character is Unrun and she's a DPS. I will actually throw a fit. I will like explode. I will burn brighter than the flames that Unrun shoots out of those fans. Like, yeah. But then again, at the end of the day, gameplay is what matters. And maybe the most. So this is, really, this does look really fun, I will admit. But yeah, I think my complaints are done and dusted, said aloud. I'm sure you understand my ideas. Design, not fond. Release, time of release, not fond. And, I mean, her story's good. Yeah, I feel like I've neglected to say that, but I think her story is good. I like the idea of her, being a victim of Overwatch's actions. It's always fun to have a character like that, who is like a reminder of the past, a sort of ghost of what Overwatch once was. I can't wait to hear some of her like interactions with Reaper and maybe Genji and Cassidy and Moira, like these people that were involved in her father's death. So yeah, I'm very, very excited to see where they go story-wise with her, especially seeing as Ramatra hyped her up to be like Talon's problems that would become the world's problems. Like, story-wise, I'm sure she'll be great, but design-wise and kind of release-wise and what her role is, yeah, you get the idea. I've mentioned it 20 billion times already. But anyways, end of the video. Just wanted to get this out whilst the topic was new and fresh, because it, both for my own, because obviously I have my own thoughts on it and I do want to express those, but, usually the sooner I cover these things, the better, It's just how YouTube works, per se. Not like I'm doing this, for, what would you call it? I'm not like doing this for views and attention. Like when I made like my video on Dispatch, it's not, I didn't do this video because I was, I wanted to cash in on the hype of Dispatch. No, I did it because I, genuinely had thoughts and feelings about it that I wanted to express. I will admit some of those thoughts are a bit more lenient now. A lot of my criticisms of Invisigal do still stand, but I am a lot more lenient and nice to the things of the game that are good. I feel like I was just kind of so blinded by my anger and hatred for the ending and Invisigal as a character and how she works and blah, 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 that I kind of failed to acknowledge and compliment the things I do like about Overwatch. Or Overwatch? About Dispatch. But yeah, end of the video. Hope you have enjoyed it so far. If you have liked it, like, comment, and subscribe if you feel so inclined. Hope you have a lovely rest of your day, whether it be a good morning, afternoon, evening, etc. And for real this time, the next video in my Overwatchathon series will be on the first DPS of the roster, Ashe.